Okay, this is showing how to make a pot drip tray for a cubic or rectangular pot, and there's going to be the easy way in this video, and there'll be a hard way. The hard way is just slightly better for keeping everything nice and neat, but it's not necessary. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is something we haven't done before, which is to make some reference geometry. So I want to make a plane that I can edit down here somewhere that's parallel to this top plane. So I click on reference geometry and click plane. I want this to be down here. So I'm going to change the direction of the offset, and I'm going to increase it a bit down to that. So 100 millimeters. My pot's kind of small because I just threw this together for this video. Yours will likely be bigger than that. Okay, so there's my plane that's below the pot. Now the easiest way to do this is I'm going to draw a rectangle on this plane. I want that rectangle to be the same size as the rectangle, well, slightly larger than the rectangle that I'm trying to fit it into, but I actually want to make sure that I'm going to be in the center. So let's do a line before we do the rectangle that's going to mean that we're in the center. So this line here forms a blue line when I hover over it, this origin thing. But if your origin is not in the center of your plane, then we need to put in a center line. So if you click on center line, you can make a center line from this side to this side, and this line is dashed, so it will never appear on anything. It's just there for helping you to find things. So then once I'm done that, I will pick the rectangle tool, and I'll pick the center rectangle because I want to go from the center point, yeah, out to this corner. And look at that, it's exactly the same size, and it's lined up entirely. So all of the corners match, the center matches, everything matches. So tick on that, and then I'll just tilt, whoops, wrong way, to show you what that pot looks like from a distance, because you can see that my rectangle is on this plane and not touching the pot. Exactly the right size. Okay, so we want it to be slightly bigger than exactly the right size. So let's go back to our sketch. Okay, and I want to make sure that this gets a little bit bigger. Now it's useful to actually use your smart dimension here. So my pot is 120 millimeters wide. So this line doesn't really exist, it won't be drawn, but it will help us to get things in the center. So now I want to draw a rectangle, but instead of a normal corner rectangle, I want to draw from the center to make sure this perfectly lines up with the rectangle under that I'm going to try to wrap. Okay, so I'm just going to let it draw somewhere bigger, and then I'm going to use my smart dimension tool. Okay, so if the pot is 120 wide and we need to leave 3 millimeters of space on either side, then it's 120 plus 3 plus 3 is 126. So I'm going to go 120, yeah, I'll go 126. And then I'll make sure that this is also 126. 126. There we go. I now have a centered square that is just a little bit bigger than the one that I was using as my pot. And I just went upside down. Sorry about that. And there it is on my plane. And I will now extrude that up to make my dish. Okay, so once I do that, I exit the sketch. Then I make sure that sketch is highlighted and I go Features, Extruded Boss Base. Now I do not want it extruded that much. This is just remembering settings from before when I was working. So I want that to be probably somewhere around 1 centimeter, but 7 mil, 8 mil, something like that. It's your design, you can choose. If you make it too small, then it won't store any water. Okay, so then I'm going to click tick on that. And now I have a fat saucer that's slightly bigger than my rectangle. And I'm going to shell at both of these things out so that I can punch some holes and be ready to go. So first thing I'm going to do is highlight that and click shell. I want it to be 3 mils thick, the walls. And so there we go, that's 3 mils thick. And now I want to do the same thing with this base. I want to shell that out. The only difference is I'm going to change this width. I'm going to make it 2.7 millimeters. It's just because if it's too exact, then they might not actually fit together. So this is just, maybe I'll even go 2.5. This is just for safety to make sure that they're going to fit together. So click on the tick there. And here I have 2 things that will fit together. Okay, last thing I need to do is punch some holes in the base of this rectangle, square, pot thing. So I need to go to sketch. I'm going to sketch on this face. I'm going to draw some circles. I can draw a circle there. And then I can actually draw a bunch of them. So I can use this linear sketch pattern and choose a circular sketch pattern and say that I want it to go from the center of this square. So I probably need to insert a point there. Let me just add some geometry. So I'm going to have a center line that goes from the center of this guy to the same on the other side. And then we're also going to do that for the center this way. Center line from here to here. And now I have this great thing in the center that I can use to make sure this is symmetrical. So I'm going to click on this thing again with my arrow key and then click on linear sketch pattern, circular sketch pattern, and I want this point here to be actually this point here. Maybe I need to stick a point in, and now I can go back to linear sketch pattern, circular sketch pattern, this point here, thanks very much. There we go. And once I've selected that point, it's making a circle around that point. And so I can decide that I want 4 of them, or I want 5 of them, or 6 of them, however many holes I want. I think 5 is probably good. They're going to be equally spaced. Now, if you can't work out how to do all of that circular sketch pattern, you can just draw the circles yourself. It's much neater if you try and make sure they are the same size. Okay, once I've got that and I'm happy, now I'm going to extrude those, so cut those through. So I exit my sketch, sorry, extrude cut, not extrude. Features, extruded cut. And now I just check that that is going to cut all the way through, and it is, and it's not going to reach my drip tray. And so I click yes. And now you'll find that my rectangular pot has 5 holes in it, and you can see through them, and you've got the drip tray underneath, so it is ready to be packaged up for printing. It would be good if it had an embellishment on it.